Hello, I'm Michael Porter and you're watching Business Spotlight. This week the spotlight falls on ULife, and Managing Director and co-founder Jaco Oosthuizen joins me now to talk about the organization, what it's all about, including the importance of having a Chief Wellbeing Officer in a company. Jaco, let's start briefly by the idea of ULife and what you guys do and what you offer as a company.
Yeah, well, thanks Michael, thanks for the opportunity. ULife wants to really transform the insurance industry. And as you know, insurance is a very boring subject, and people don't wake up in the morning and say, I would love to buy insurance. And for us, it's about creating joy for a joyful experience for people. It's also one of the least trusted industries around. So what we have done is we normally interact with your insurance company when something bad happens, when a claim is happening or premium increase, etc. And for us, it's about having a consistent engagement with our consumers. So we've created this app, and we looked in the world and said, okay, what are people doing on their phones, on their mobile phones, and look at games, for example. So, okay, how can we use that addictive behavior to influence people positively?
Right. So
we created this wellness app, which is highly engaging, and we launched in the UK in 2017. I've got over 1,000 employer groups that on our books already in the UK, over 800,000 lives. And the engagement in the app is over 50%. And now we are expanding this proposition to other countries, including South Africa. So I'm obviously back in the country. I used to live in the UK, and we launched in South Africa recently, and we're also looking at Japan and the US and busy with pilots there as well.
Okay, so it's not just purely insurance. It's sort of insurance with a lifestyle shift to get you on a better track in life, really.
Yeah, we're basically combining protection or insurance with engagement and prevention.
Right.
Which creates a win-win between the insurance company, the employer, and actually and the employee, and society at large. Having a positive impact on people and really making a difference in people's lives.
Right. And there's a big part of this is also having somebody within a business or an organization who is helping the employee. So I understand you guys call it a Chief Wellness Officer, effectively. Tell us about that concept.
Yeah, Chief Wellness Officer is something that started about in 2015. So it's a relatively new concept. But I also think companies don't invest in positions if they can't see a return on investment.
Yes.
And people are starting to see that investing in the wellness of their staff is really reaping positive returns. And that is really where, and COVID also then further enhanced, escalated the prominence of the Chief Wellbeing Officer. So large companies globally are now adopting this role, and it's a role that is normally a C-suite role, or just below that, part of HR, etc. That really, and I think wellness also has been very fragmented in companies. So you have a wellness week here, etc.
Yes.
A big part of this role is to really consolidate all these wellness initiatives and show a positive return on investment for companies. We all say our employees is our biggest asset, but are we putting our money where our mouths are? And I think people are starting to do that now globally.
Absolutely. So you say there is traction being gained in terms of this idea of a wellness officer. Is it something that's being seen internationally and locally? Are we getting there as well in South Africa?
Definitely internationally. So big companies like Aon and EY, now most recently have adopted that and put that in place. But even locally, we've seen some of the large corporates in South Africa having specific roles. But we believe as a company as well that in our company, our CEO is our Chief Wellness Officer.
Right.
Because we really need to look at the holistic well-being of our employees. And there's also recently a study with Oxford University brought out that companies that invest in the well-being of their staff have a higher return on investment over time for shareholders. So you can actually now see that your share price actually outperforms other companies that are not investing in their staff.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying it's a role that is starting to get really prominence globally. But it doesn't matter. Smaller companies don't always have the money to invest in that. Yes. And I think that's smaller companies and medium companies, the management needs to take ownership of that specific role.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier in terms of companies are not necessarily willing to invest something where they don't see a direct return, but now we are starting to see it in share prices and general effectiveness within the business, which is a fascinating return to see.
Yes, and I think in the past it was difficult to measure as well. And now with technology like what we are bringing to the table, you can actually measure the engagement and the improvement in your staff in absenteeism, presenteeism, etc. And so you can start to measure return on investment. For example, we've got 5 years of data now. We gave it to Forrester, an external company, to analyze, and that showed that the company can get a return of 180% on using our app with their employees.
Okay.
So you can start to physically measure now the return on investment.
Right. And Jaco, what would you say would be some of the most effective measures or methodologies in terms of building resilience in the workplace within your employee, your workforce?
I think for us it's about creating, we have very strong values in us, and I think for us it's about creating an open culture where people are engaging and feel that they belong. And I think that's a very big part of what a Chief Wellbeing Officer needs to do, or top management, is that people feel they belong. You know, there's a lot of loneliness in this world.
Absolutely.
And we're spending a lot of time at work. So I think for us it's about creating vulnerability, creating trust, you want to wake up in the morning and feel you're making a difference.
Absolutely.
And a lot of companies are realizing that they need to create an engaged workforce, which will create more productivity as well. So it's putting all that measures in place, and it starts with culture. It starts with your culture, it starts with your values, it starts with the buy-in from your top management, which then permeates through the whole organization.
Right. And it's fascinating that the idea that we really now are looking at employees as a integral part of the business rather than people who just work at the business.
Exactly.
So wonderful work that you guys are doing. Thank you for sharing some of your insights and information with us. Great to have you.
Thanks, Michael.
Well, that was ULife Managing Director and Co-founder Jaco Oosthuizen. Do stay tuned for more Business Day TV programming after the break.